Hello and welcome to things I find interesting that happened today in the past, aka Tifitht Itp. This show is all about the historical events of the past, both recognized by actual historians and ones I personally find interesting enough to talk about. My information comes from the smart device application On This Day, the icon of which can be seen as cutoff prevention at the beginning and end of this video. The music in the background is Nova by Arix. Anyway, on with the show! Today is Monday, February 1st, 2016. In 2014, the Shard, the tallest building in the European Union, was opened to the public. In 2012, at least 72 people were murdered and over 500 injured as a result of clashes between fans of Egyptian football teams, Al Masry and Al Ahly, in the city of Port Said. In 2009, the first cabinet of Johanna Sigurðardóttir was formed in Iceland, making her the country's first female prime minister and the world's first openly LGBT head of government. In 2004, Janet Jackson's boob was intentionally exposed during the halftime show of Super Bowl 38, resulting in U.S. broadcasters adopting a stronger adherence to Federal Communications Commission censorship guidelines. So, due to the actions of one self-absorbed whore, we lost yet one more thing in the few nice things we have in this world. In 2004, the Hajj pilgrimage stampede occurred, in which 251 people were trampled to death and 244 others were injured in Saudi Arabia. The second worst disaster of its kind, second only to events on Black Friday, which occurs every year in the United States. In 2003, Space Shuttle Columbia, concluding the STS-107 mission, disintegrated during re-entry into Earth's atmosphere, ending the lives of all 7 astronauts on board. In 2002, Daniel Pearl, United Statian journalist and South Asia bureau chief of the Wall Street Journal, who was kidnapped on the 23rd of January 2002, was beheaded and mutilated by his captors. In 2001, Putrajaya, the Malaysian administrative city, was declared as federal territory. In 1998, Lillian E. Fishburne became the first black female to be promoted to Rear Admiral. In 1989, the Western Australian towns of Kalgoorlie and Boulder amalgamated to form the city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder. In 1974, Kuala Lumpur was declared as federal territory. In 1972, Kuala Lumpur became a city by royal charter granted by the Yang di Perturan Agong of Malaysia. In 1968, the New York Central Railroad and the Pennsylvania Railroad were merged to form the Penn Central Transportation. Also in 1968, Canada's 3 military services, the Royal Canadian Navy, the Canadian Army, and the Royal Canadian Air Force, were unified into the Canadian Forces. In 1964, the Beatles had their first #1 hit in the United States with I Wanna Hold Your Hand. In 1964, black students staged the first of the Greensboro sit-ins at a lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina. In 1946, the Parliament of Hungary abolished the monarchy after 9 centuries and proclaimed the Hungarian Republic. Also in 1946, Trygve Lie of Norway was selected to be the first United Nations Secretary General. In 1942, during World War II, the U.S. Navy conducted the Marshall-Gilbert's Raid, which was the first defensive action by the United States against Japanese forces in the Pacific Theater. In 1924, the United Kingdom recognized the USSR. In 1918, Russia adopted the Gregorian calendar. In 1897, Shinhan Bank, the oldest bank in South Korea, opened in Seoul. In 1895, Fountains Valley, Pretoria, the oldest nature reserve in Africa, was proclaimed by President Paul Kruger. In 1893, Thomas A. Edison finished the construction of the first motion picture studio, the Black Maria, in West Orange, New Jersey. In 1884, the first volume of the Oxford English Dictionary containing A to Ant was published. In 1865, President Abraham Lincoln signed the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. In 1861, during the American Civil War, Texas seceded from the United States. In 1835, slavery was abolished in Mauritius, and in 1796, the capital of Upper Canada was moved from Newark to York. Bursts, Pauly Shore, hey buddy, 1968, Rick James, bitch, 1948, Halo every day, every year. And that concludes Tifitht Itp for your dose of passive events daily. I am Ao and you are you. Toodles!